Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, this is Joe and Jay Outspoken. You can join us on all of our media platforms at Linktree/Joe and Jay Outspoken. Today's episode is part of our new series, Walking with Jesus. So, Joe, what do you think about this new series? I'm pretty excited about this.
I'm with you, brother. I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait to get into it. And it's really fun. I do want to say, though, I want to dedicate this to my family, which is probably one of the driving forces behind it. And of course, you for helping me get to where I need to get to. But still, I feel like those apostles when they're first picked, bro, like they have no clue. Like, why'd you pick me?
Why'd you pick me? Yeah,
I'm still new trying to figure things out, bro. But I think
right.
but I think I'm heading in the right direction. So
I'm a lowly sinner.
yeah, bro. I'm like, me. Are you sure you're talking to me?
Yeah,
Is that guy.
This guy.
There's a lot of us. There's a lot of us Mexicans that have the same name and look alike. So I don't know. Did you get the right one?
All right. Well, let's get this thing going.
Let's do it.
All right, everybody, welcome back to our new mini series, Walk with Jesus. So, Joe, today we're going to do a little bit of an introduction on what this series is going to be about.
Yeah.
And part of that is us just kind of giving, I guess, a little bit of we've already kind of given a little bit of testimony, but I think it's a little bit more of that, and then an explanation on where we're going forward here with the whole series. So, what's your thoughts on everything?
So it's gonna be interesting. So, and I hope you guys really follow along in the continuance of this series. But we're gonna play play this out like a timeline from, and I don't want to say like from birth, but from a young age, just kind of our characters, how they've developed into being these adults that we are today, and where it kind of went wrong. Some of the things that we did, and what led us into different paths. And I'm not talking about Jay and I's relationship as brothers, but like our paths in life, like me getting married and having my kids, and what happened to that, and kind of just where I kind of came back kind of corralled, and Jay doing the same thing with his relationships, and the important ones that he thought, because we've all had relationships, right? And clearly whatever misguided thoughts we've had as young men, they continued, I think, in most of these relationships, because that was the character that we created, or that we actually begun to portray ourselves, because I'm just gonna say it, because we were lost, right? We had no clue what's going on. And so I know this is a little bit different than what we normally talk about on Joe and Jay Outspoken, but I think this is very important to us, and it's very relevant, especially now. And I think it goes to speak to everybody, because everyone, I think, needs to find their way, whether it's through Christianity, whether it's through being Catholic or Protestant, or a witness or Mormon, whatever the case is, and whatever brings you closer to God is important. But I think one thing that everyone should understand, especially our viewers, is that we're going to talk about it from our perspective, from our Christianity point of view. So it might not click with a lot of people, as far as like people that are Protestant or Catholic or Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses. It might be a little bit different for you, which is okay. We're not going to sit here and debate like which is a better religion, and ultimately all these roads should lead to one, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's important that we talk about it. And what better way than to set examples from our own life, where it's more relatable to those people at home, or listening to us on Apple podcasts, or whatever you're listening to. But I think it's important that you guys just hear, or like Jay said earlier, a testimony about our path, and where it's going, and ultimately where it's leading us to, and where we want to be as Christians. Where do we want to be? I mean, that's a big question, right? Everybody's so involved nowadays. Even just a few months, Jay, let's say, I don't think we even have to go that far back. Even just a few months ago, how busy was our lives? I mean, not that it's not now, but how busy was it that, like, God was even part of it? And you remember, bro, we used to hang out
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
barbecue and drink and eat. I felt like we were like Pontius Pilate and Caesar out there, just getting gordos, getting all, let's eat and drink, right? But it wasn't that long ago, right? And now, like, here's the thing, guys, and this is crazy to me. It really is, and I want to make it as relatable and as understanding for you guys out there as it is for me. But I think sometimes I run to Jay and I'm like, bro, guess what happened to me today? It's just crazy. We were talking off air right now, and I told him, we went. So right before work, I stopped by at a Circle K, right? And I usually stop there. I fill up my little water thing that my daughter gave me, and I fill it with ice, and just have it with ice. I don't get nothing. I don't take stuff from the fountain drinks. I just get ice, and then I'll buy a drink. Like, I don't drink soda, so I get the Powerade. You know how they have the Powerades on the fountain
Oh
drinks
yeah.
now. So I'll get the Powerade. I'll do like half it, and I'll throw water because it's so sweet for me. And so I grabbed that, and I grabbed a one of those packaged Slim Jim. I bought into a Slim Jim, and I got to the counter. I paid for my stuff. I took off, and I'm grabbing my things. I get to work. I'm grabbing all my gear, my equipment, and I grabbed my receipt. For some reason, I was about to wrinkle it up and just toss it, right, not on the ground, in a trash can. And I looked, for some reason. I looked at it, and it said like 98 cents. I'm like, man, are those Slim Jims on sale? I need to go back there and grab me a handful of
Yeah,
those
I
things,
know.
right? I'm like,
I'm gonna
yeah,
buy a
baby.
box full of those things.
Yeah, that I'm thinking, with the fountain drink and that puts that puts it at 2 cents. I'm big. I'm gonna go get it, right? And I looked, and I didn't pay for it, right? And I'm like, man. And this is where I told Jay, I'm like, I'm done with this Jesus stuff. I'm done, right? Because, like,
The guilt is setting in.
bro. So all day I felt guilty about that. I'm like, I need to stop by and pay for that, or I need to go return that. I need to do something with it. I have committed a act of sin against my God, and I was just feeling guilty, something that I never would have. Like, most times, this would have been me. I get there, I see that I didn't pay for it. I'm like, yeah, baby, cha-ching. I got myself a $3 stick of beef, and guess what? Sorry for them for not paying, for not charging me. That's on them, not my fault. But not today. Today I felt guiltier than heck, man. And I'm like, I don't know why. I told Jay, I'm like, bro, that's horrible. It's things like that I think it's amazing. And there's gonna be some other things that I think we're gonna share about. And I think, like I was telling Jay the other day, I was having some crazy dreams, and I think the
Oh yeah.
more that we get closer to the Word of God, the more it seems that we are tempted, that we are attacked, spiritually. I'm not saying like physically attacked, right? But, like, because we carry weapons of mass destruction. You ain't messing with us. But anyway, but like spiritually attacked, and I started thinking about it, and I think, Jay, I think you would agree, even though maybe yours are experience a little bit different, that before, and it was just my thought. I'm trying to put things together still, bro. So, forgive me if I'm a little, you know what I mean? But before, it was like, there was no care in the world. Things were happening, I mean, sinful things, right? Were happening, not guilty, not feeling, just thinking like, who's my next victim, as far as relationships and blah, blah, blah. And no care in the world. And now that, I've come to a place in my life where I'm like, okay, bro, you need to figure things out. You need to slow it down. It seems now that I'm besides the guilt, I feel like I'm getting attacked from every angle. Like the wrongdoers, like the evil is like, hey, bro, hey, do you forget about us? What's up? We had a good time, man. What are you doing? Let's get back in here. And I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, it's weird to explain, Jay. Like, I don't know how to say it, but it's like, and I've had these conversations with my son, and because he was like, he's the main dude that got me back into it. So, Love you, buddy. I love all my kids, but he's the one that got me back into believing. But it was. I tell him the same thing. I'm like, man, the closer we get to the word, the more we read the Bible, or the more we interact, the more we surround ourselves with people that are in the same faith, the more you get like bombarded with stuff, like
Yeah.
temptation or just places, and I don't know, and like it feels like, even like I pray every day, but like even then, like you get this like laziness, like if I don't pray today, it's not a big deal. Like where'd
Oh,
that come
right.
from? Like,
Yeah.
or like, what? If I miss church today, it's not a big deal. I get to sleep in and leave. I'll do it next week.
Yeah.
Like you get these feelings where before you're like, you're up and you're ready to go. If it was
Right.
like, hey bro, let's go, we're gonna go eat, or let's go to the bar, we'd be like, shh, I'm up, let's go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. But when it came to church, all of a sudden I'm like, oh man, I'm tired.
Right.
And I'm like, nah, you got to fight through that. You got to get through that, and it's just crazy. I don't know if that's happening to you, but it's happening a lot to me. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
absolutely.
I don't know. What do you think? What's your thought on that?
So I'd say, I was raised in the church, right? So when I was a little kid, my mom and my grandmother used to take me every single Sunday.
Catholic, right?
No, it was actually Baptist. So,
Okay.
And if you want to be specific, Southern Baptist.
Oh, Southern Baptist.
Yeah, Southern Baptist. So
hey, mom does some good Southern cooking. So
yeah, that's why, because they were from the South, so that's kind of where they were. And I would go every single Sunday. I went to what was called VBS, Vacation Bible School. I went to what do you call it? I don't know, church camp, Christian camp, whatever they call it.
I've gone to those. Yeah, I used to go to those.
And that was actually, I think I went to that a couple times. I can't remember. The one time in specific was kind of I think when I was a little bit older was the more impactful, because of just everything that they were talking about. And it's in smaller groups and you sat around campfires and all that kind of good stuff. And, when you're at that age,
Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah, no, I remember being dark out there and somebody's like playing a acoustic guitar, and you're just everybody's singing along. The fire's crackling, and you're looking out in the distance like there could be bears out here.
You know what? And I want to say it's probably the same camp that everybody would go
to. Probably
because they had the little what do you call it, the lounges and all those little cabins out there.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it was probably one of the same ones that all the churches rented them or what have you. Yeah. And youth groups and like, what do you call it? Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and all that.
Natural helpers from India High School. Remember those?
Natural helpers. Yeah. So, I went probably until about 8th grade. And then when I got into high school, our activities and stuff in school were a lot busier and
especially you with band, you were like always gone.
Half the time on weekends. Yeah. We were doing, I remember talking to my mom about, these kind of things. And she's like, I can't remember a dang weekend when we weren't doing some kind of activity, whether it was car washes or whatever it was, just to raise money, for the band, for trips and stuff like that. New uniforms and instruments were expensive and
the
trips. Yeah. Trips are really expensive. So I started to decline in that. Right. And then after high school, I only took 2 weeks off before I went to college. And then I went to college and, you're going back and forth and then weekends, sometimes I was coming home because at that time, so a little bit of background on me, I met my ex-wife, but my soon to be wife at that time when I was in high school. I met her my senior year of high school. Right. And so I'm going to college far away. And then on weekends I'd come back and, we'd try to hang out and spend as much time together as we could. And we would occasionally pop into the church that my mom and my grandmother went to, but it just wasn't, I don't know. It wasn't something that was heavy on my heart, to go. And I'll kind of get back to this story. I'll freeze that in time. Now, kind of like what you were saying, brother, I feel guilty. Like when I have stuff, through work that like I have to be in early or anything like that. I feel, or anything else, that's going on, I feel guilty if I have to miss church now. Or um like we have Bible studies and stuff
Yeah.
during the week and all that kind of stuff. If I ever have to miss any of those things, it feels different now. Back then, just kind of like you were saying, I didn't care back in the day.
Yeah.
I really didn't,
Life was
and
good.
and it's not that I didn't believe in God, and it's not that I didn't
We always have.
that, but it just wasn't as important to me.
Was it on the top 10?
Oh no.
Was
No,
it on the top 10?
probably not. Yeah, reading my Bible wasn't on the top
Yeah.
10.
Doing the right thing.
Going to church definitely wasn't
Yeah.
in the top 10. But what's funny is I do remember, so after high school, and then, you start working, and then life really starts running away at the speed of light, right?
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
like
yeah.
going and going.
It's not waiting for you.
No. And by that time, all this stuff had progressed. So that girlfriend from high school, we end up getting married, and then, years go by and stuff doesn't work out, and we get divorced, and I move, and, another relationship starts, and there's nothing with church, nothing with God is really involved in any of that.
Yeah.
Those interactions. So I had some friends that had invited me to a church. They had opened up in an old movie theater complex, and it had been going for a few years, and they'd been building it up and up, and it was a non-denominational church. And I had never been to one before. I had only been to old traditional churches.
Structured.
They had the hymnals there. You open the page 64, great thou art, piano player on the left, organ player on the right, pulpit in the front. It was always the same thing. This church was weird. I walked in, and guys are in cargo shorts and t-shirts, and nobody's dressed up at all. Because when I went to church, you got in slacks. The worst you wore was like Levi's with a button down or a polo shirt or something.
Yeah.
That was like you dressed up when you went to church. And this, there was guys with tattoos and people with nose piercings and
sinners,
and all the sinners that
blasphemers.
Blasphemers. So, I remember talking to one of the guys there that I met, and later on, I think you met him. He was a photographer, and he did some stuff for the band.
Oh yeah.
Later on, and he was all tatted up and had the big weird hoop gauges, is what they called them, and earrings, earring gauges or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, "Man,"
I took mine off.
He goes, everybody here is coming from a dark background, drugs, gangs, jail/prison, all kinds of different things. And he said, the thing is that's what's the draw here, is because you have all these people from, unperfect backgrounds that have found the way, and they've completely transformed and changed their lives based on the word that they've been reading. And this as much as I do, because we go to the same church whenever we can, right?
Yeah.
And so for those of you that go to church, you'll know what we're saying. For those of you that don't,
sinners,
ask for all the sinners out there. So little caveat, we are all sinners, guys. So
heathens,
we're all sinners. So nobody is above the law on this one, I tell you. But when you're there and you get there at first, what's the first thing they're doing when you first get to church? They're doing worship service, right?
Yeah.
Worship service. So they're singing songs. There's a guitar player, bass player, drummer, 2, 3, 4 singers, depending on the service, keyboard player / pianist. They're up there doing songs, worship songs, right?
Well, I get there early enough to get coffee first, but yeah.
Get coffee first, right? No. Right. So is there ever a time that they're just playing a song and something hits you all of a sudden?
Oh yeah, bro,
dude. I mean,
you know what? I can't get through these songs without like getting all choked up. I'm like, what the?
Now, exactly. Isn't it weird?
It really is.
Especially to guys that, like I've said this to friends and even acquaintance people that I know when they. So I think we talked about this in one of our last deals, and I mentioned something like this. I've at times I've had where I've been over well over 300 to close to 400 people as far as in charge of.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had to let people go. I've had to let people go that were making 6-figure salaries,
Yeah.
right? And I saw a grown man start crying right in front of me because he just lost a job. He was making, $100,000+ a year.
Yeah.
And my heart and everything, because of my job and everything that I had done and everything, I didn't get emotional at all.
Not empathetic at all. Huh?
Not empathetic at all. A
Yeah.
little bit of empathy, thinking, this really sucks for this guy, that he's going to have to go through all this and everything. But
Dude, there's been times, Jay, where I've had to let people go, and it's a horrible person I am, and they'd leave, and then I'd go to HR. I'm like, this guy was a loser. You know what I mean?
good,
And
good.
like, yeah, and I'm like, you think back a little bit, now that we're where we're at, you think back here, like, man, dude, it's just
Right.
weird.
Yeah, we shouldn't have been like that. But the reason I use that example is perfect that you just brought that up too. So the both of us have done that and had
Mm-hmm.
negative emotions, like zero emotions on that stuff. So we have enough of a hardened emotional sense to us that we could go through a situation that would make a lot of people cry or emotional, and we could be Van Damme, just straight, nothing bugs us. And
Callous
we
heart.
and we go to listen to some silly songs at the church and it makes us emotional.
I know, bro. Isn't that
How's
crazy?
that possible? And how is it that all kinds of people in the church, bro, there's people that I've seen their first time in the church and they're like, I don't know what it was. Something overcame me during the service and I got really emotional. And a lot of times, you'll sing the first song, nothing, it's your whatever
Yeah.
they're singing, whether you sing along, whether you just sit there and listen and shake your head or whatever, nothing happens. Next song, maybe nothing happens. Next song just punches you
Bro,
in the gut, right?
the first song hits me in the gut, bro. I'm not gonna lie. The first one, I'm over here trying to do my best singing, right? Because I sound great. You know what I mean? I'm one of those.
I don't know about the people behind me.
Yeah, I'm one of those shower sopranos. You know what I mean? Fabulous. And but it's funny because most of the times you sing, like, you're in your car, bro. You're singing, you're rocking out, you're singing whatever. You know the words, and you're just singing them.
Mm-hmm.
But like when you're in church and you're singing these songs, bro, you're hearing them. You're not
Yeah.
listening to them. You're hearing them.
Right.
And like they drive you and they're like, oh my God. I don't know. It makes me feel like a grain of sand on a beach. Very little, very, very, in comparison to what there is in creation. And
Right.
me and my baby boy have talked about this a lot, and then I'm like, it's like a re-energized. You get re-energized when you go back on a Sunday. You know what I mean? It's kind of cool. I know there's some churches that do services like on Wednesdays, which is fabulous because I think you need to get re-energized in the middle of the week of some of these times.
Yeah.
But it's like you come out refreshed, you come out renewed. And it is very different. And like I said, it's for me, it's the first song. It doesn't matter where it's at. Walking in, you walk into church and you just have this. I don't know. I feel like I'm protected. Like, and I don't want to sound like a ghost and whatnot, but I feel like I'm in a place where others that think alike, who try to behave alike, who have the same struggles as me, are together. So it's almost like someone who's trying to stop drinking going to an AA.
Yeah.
They feel
Yeah.
welcomed, they feel accepted, they feel like,
Right.
hey bro, you're not alone, you got to struggle together. Or NA,
Yeah.
or like the LA, you ever been to LA? Liberals Anonymous, like it's the same thing. They when they go and they're crying and doing their things.
That's next week episode.
Too early.
Too early.
I like to start
too
early.
soon. Too soon.
But my thing is just like, so it's not like this, the protected, like there's this aura around it. It's because you have the same people around you, And here's the thing, you start thinking, like, man, I don't even deserve to be forgiven for some of the things that I've done, and I'm like, I feel dirty coming in here sometimes, and
Yeah.
and I start thinking, I'm like, wait a minute. Jesus' apostles were the kind of the worst people. He didn't pick the best people. He picked the
Not at
worst
all.
people. You know, and I'm thinking, that's who, he came to save people, not to condemn them, and
Right.
so I'm thinking, you know what? I'm where I belong. I'm where I need to be. And I don't know. It's to me, again, it's a great feeling. I finally, it's like when you're in doing stuff with law enforcement, doing stuff outside the world, whatever. You're always with a group of people. That's your clan. You feel comfortable. This is what you do. You guys do together. You train together. You do whatever it is together. That's your peeps. You know what I mean?
Right.
Kind of like with you when you're in the band or whenever you're rocking out. That's your peeps. You know what I mean? That's you guys. That's how you communicate. You guys understand each other without even verbalizing stuff. You guys look at each other. You're like, "All right, I got you." You know what I mean? And
Right.
and that's how I feel at church. I've come to a group where uh, we all suck. Let's just say it. We're all horrible people. We've come from some bad backgrounds. We've done things that we're not proud of. We've led not a very straight and narrow life, and but everyone is prepared or preparing to live that life.
Right.
Let's be honest, bro. We are not perfect. None of us are. There's no way that we'll be perfect. We will continue to sin up until the day we die, right?
Right.
And that's just how it is. That's just the nature of things. Thank you, Eve. But that's just the nature of things that we have the original sin. Again, thank you, Eve. And that's what it is. And so we're always going to be driven to not always do the right thing, right? And so being in this community helps us to stay on the correct path. And that's why I told you a while back, like, hey, bro, I need you to be my like security and make sure I'm not straying from the path. And if I
Yeah.
do, hit me like a piñata, like go get back on that path, bro. What you doing? You know.
Yeah.
But I love it, and I think that our listeners are really going to enjoy some of the things that we're going to be talking about, because it's going to be something that
Absolutely.
people out there could relate to and see, like, there's struggles even today that we have. I mean, I'm not perfect. I know Jay's not perfect. And our struggles are always going to be happening. We're always going to have some dark seasons. We're going to have some good seasons, but these are the things that have to happen. And they're all lessons to be learned. They're all going to make you either a stronger person, a more faithful person, a more patient person, a more, there's so many things that each of us have to work on. You think that you've capitalized on something, and then you realize that you have a weakness elsewhere. So then you have to start building that one. And
Right.
as you continue to build on one, you start finding other weaknesses. And I think one that I still have, and that it's a continued struggle, and I think I tell Jay this all the time, is my cursing. Bro, never been in the military, but I'm like a sailor, bro.
Sailor. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And it's like,
Sailor Joe.
and you try to get away from it, but then your work environment,
Oh yeah.
it
Yeah.
gets, you're like, all right, I don't remember. And it's like you sit there like, I don't remember hearing these guys curse so much. And now all of a sudden, I'm like, well, before it was because it was part of your natural
Natural
environment,
habitat. Right.
and you
Yeah.
and you just kept repeating what was going on, and
Yeah.
now I catch myself. I'm like, did I just say that? I'm like, oh God, stop.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I
I feel weird nowadays. I don't know.
I had some clients the other day, and it was really interesting because they came in and they were the nicest, like super nice people, right? Young
Yeah.
guy, young girl. Uh, I don't know. I put him at late 20s, early 30s,
Oh wow.
and he had a baseball cap on, and she had like a kind of like a hoodie like you have on, but it was a pullover. It didn't have a zipper on the front of it. And both of those, his hat and her sweater, had the same insignia on it, and it was a pentagram with the uh, goat head and all kinds of stuff. It said something. I couldn't read it on his hat because it was so small, and the way she was, it was all like, wrinkled up on her
Yeah.
her sweater, so I couldn't like read what it was,
Make
but it
out
was
what it
some
said.
kind of club or something like that they belonged to, because it was like they were well designed, how they were
Yeah.
done. It wasn't like haphazard kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
very purposeful. And the thing is stuff like that. Would I have noticed that 20 years ago? Yeah, probably, but I probably wouldn't have paid as much mind to it because, being in the rock scene and stuff with music and everything, you always have kind of all those hard rock and metal bands. They've like you think about like Motley Crue back in the day. That's was a
Cater to
very
stuff
popular
like that.
band.
That's what. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they
Yeah.
had it on the front of their third album or whatever. They
Mhm.
had a pentagram on it. So it was just kind of I don't want to say cultural, but it was a media thing. It was to sell stuff, right? It wasn't like those guys didn't.
It was a rock and roll culture thing.
It was, yeah,
If
because
it
it
followed
was
that
the
type of music.
anti-culture. It was
Yeah.
the anti-culture, right?
Yeah.
So, and this goes for a lot of things. Um, with like we just had an election, right?
Mhm.
Why is Gen Z all of a sudden kind of leaning to the right? Well, because their parents that were probably millennials, what did they lean to? The left.
The
What did
left.
their parents lean to? The right.
The right.
What did their parents? So it's a flip flop because your parents say, don't touch the shiny red button. And what do? You touch the shiny red button. You need to go to church. I'm not going to go to church, kind of thing. And so Gen Z, what are they doing? Their millennial parents didn't go to church. Now they want to go to church, right? Because it's opposite of what their parents did. So we have that, rebellious thing. We all want to be the opposite of whatever our parents are when we're young. And I would say for me personally, that was not my thing. I feel like I was a jerk to my mom when I was, in those teenage years. Not when I was a kid, but when you're going through that one period of time
Yeah.
in high school and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And and it wasn't on purpose. Like I didn't want to. It was just something that chemical transformation that happens with you.
Mhm.
But I want to kind of go back on something that you had said a little bit ago about church being kind of like AA or what have you. And I don't have verbatim what the pastor said at our church, but I've always thought this saying was really good. And it's church is not a country club for Christians, it's a hospital for sinners. And I always thought that was really great because so many people that are on the outside looking in to go, well, either I'm too sinful to get into church, right? It wouldn't do me any good to go there. Or, um, they're not going to be able to fix whatever I have. I have all these holes in me that I need to
Yeah.
figure
Phil.
out, or I'm a drug addict or I'm a drunk or whatever. Well, guess what? AA wants drunks. People don't go to AA that don't drink, right? People don't go to NA that aren't on drugs. Like you and I don't do drugs. We're not going to go to NA meetings and sit there.
Yeah.
But we are sinners, and we're going to go to the place that accepts sinners, right? Which is the church. And so you need those kind of people. And we've said this before. You take I use his name all the time because he was so popular in golf, but Tiger Woods, one of the undoubtedly best golfers ever. You have Jack Nicklaus and all these guys, and think about the boxers.
Chichi Rodriguez.
Chichi Rodriguez, yeah. Think of like Mike Tyson in boxing and Michael Jordan in basketball. What did all of these guys have in common? They had a friend, a coach, somebody. And
You beat me to. I was gonna say they're black.
wow.
Well, that's what you picked, bro. You had Julio Cesar Chavez. You have all these other people. You went Mike Tyson and then Michael Jordan. I'm like, all right, well, they're black. That's the only thing I got in common.
I said Jack Nicholas, but
Before that, who'd you say? Who's the first one you said?
Tiger Woods.
There you go. Thank you. So
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you when you said about, the rebellious things. But here's the other thing I think. We've come to such an extreme of separation of God lately from our society as a whole.
Absolutely.
That, and then you had the COVID lockdown. You had all kinds of things have been happening, brother. out here. All kinds, Jay, has been happening that people look to people that they've admired for years. It could be a teacher, could be a parent, it could be anything, and they're just as lost as everybody else.
Yeah.
So people are I don't blame them for now seeking like, hey, what's going on? You see all these like it start off with that what was it, Jesus Revolution, the movie,
Mhm.
and then people just started questioning and like, what is this about? And I just feel that people start seeing it, and it's become people have been normalizing it lately because it's been talked about so much.
Right.
Just the other day, a couple weeks ago, you had this big old, I don't want to call it a protest. It wasn't a protest, but this big support of
Gathering.
Jesus in Ireland. You
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And walking the streets, and you're seeing more and more of that.
Yeah.
You got, with this, you saw all the stuff that was happening, all the propaganda. I call it propaganda because that's what it was, from both sides of the Democrats and the Republicans, of their commercials and what they were doing. But you had, for example, Charlie Kirk. He goes on these campuses, these college campuses, and debates these college kids. But what is one of the things he always brings up? God, Jesus
God.
Christ. He's always talking
Always.
about it.
Always. Yeah.
And it's been such a revolution now, that because now he's talking about it in colleges. You have this very famous, now famous on TikTok, pastor that goes to colleges and just talks to kids about God, and they have questions, and they try to, like, well, why does your God do this, and he answers them as best as he could. But I'm like,
Yeah.
there's so many now. There's so many questions out there, that kids are lost. We're lost. That they're looking for answers elsewhere. And I think it's a great thing. And I think that this is what this country needs. We've been so separated from any type of religion for so long because we've been so busy fighting within ourselves,
Right.
that we have no clue what's going on. That, we're walking around soulless and emotionless and heartless, that it's just crazy. People are like,
Yeah.
people hate each other and they have no clue why. Like,
Oh
for
yeah.
and let's no one does a good job in trying to heal that. And I think it's important that we call those things out. We see it, like, bro, me. I'm one of the biggest talkers of talking mess
Mess.
all the time, bro.
It's a
Every
family show. It's
time.
a family show.
Every time, my kids have called me on it. I just, that's what I do. And lately I've been curbing that. I've been like, man, I can't say that anymore. And
Yeah.
like, and it's not, before it was hard. I'd be like, whatever. I'd be in there, bro, talking. I'm a keyboard warrior. And
Tweeting back to
I'll be
everybody.
tweeting everybody, bro, tagging everybody and their moms. But I've kind of gone away from that, and I'm like, and I feel like, I don't want to say, I don't know if it's empathy or but I feel bad for people now. I feel
Hmm.
bad that so many people are lost. I feel bad that so many people are so unhappy and they don't even see it. Like,
What?
their rage, their anger shows on the keyboard,
Oh yeah.
on the messages they send, how they talk to you, how they interact. Like, I go to work and people just like, hate this job, or I this or that. And you think, like, you have a job, bro, and it pays you well. What are you complaining about? You have your health, you're walking. I mean, have you walked the streets of Arizona at all? Like, do you see the pain and suffering that's happening out there? The drug
Especially some of
addiction,
the
the homelessness, everything. It's cold right now in Arizona. Okay, Arizona cold, guys. I know it was Michigan. This is not cold, but it's Arizona cold. You see people out there walking around with no shoes, maybe a shirt, no jacket. They have a canvas tarp to cover themselves. Like, bro, you're complaining about a full-time job that pays you over $100,000, and you're crying about that. I'm like, we are one of the most selfish,
spoiled.
spoiled people that's out there, bro. And I think
Yeah.
that, and I think we need to start.
Self-entitled.
Oh my gosh, man!
We
And I
have
like,
some of the best colleges in the world in our country, and other countries they have to go out of their way to get over here to pay for the college and everything. And the kids that are here are like, we want it for free, And
yeah.
it's like, man, just all these things. We have this huge entitlement, and
But you already have fast food. You already have opportunities to get free money to go to school.
Yeah.
You know, most
You
places,
could
like you said,
join the military and you could get a free ride through school.
especially now with that post 9/11 bill.
Especially now, but people are unwilling to do that. You know, right
Well,
now
yeah.
that you can go, and I don't want to get it too far off topic, but like, you know, we just went through an election, Pennsylvania, right? Huge state as far as swing state, right? They are begging for steel workers. All right. So
And
you
that's
could
a good
move there.
trade. That's a good trade.
You could move there, and their starting wages are over $80,000 a year for most of those jobs. But the thing is most college professors and everything have taught those kids, oh, steel worker. That you know, so that's the thing. We've been, like you said earlier, the media, our teachers in school, friends, peers around us, and everything have told us that God's not real. He's the Easter bunny or, you know, a fairy tale or what have you. And all of this other stuff is what matters. Like, I mean, the environmental stuff, they're already squashing most of those things as they're not true, right? The ocean levels haven't risen like they all these things that have been talked about since the 1960s and 70s, right, have not come to pass. They've all been falsehoods. So we're taught a lot of stuff that we stress and we worry about. We're trying to fill our that missing thing with other people, with sex, with drugs, with alcohol, with who knows, all these different kind of things, and
Or all of the above.
or all of the above. Yeah, sometimes you know, just try it all. Throw everything in the kitchen sink. You know, try to fill that hole in your heart, and it doesn't work, right?
No.
And
No.
at the very beginning of this, you said just within the last couple months. I mean, it's been more than 2 months, but you know,
Yeah.
in the
Months
scope,
and not years.
yeah, in the scope of our lifetime, it's only been a couple months, really. How much more fulfilled, dude, do you feel every day
Oh, bro.
now?
Like my outlook in life has changed so much. And this I'm just getting into it, bro. I tip my fat toe into the water.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, I'm barely touching any of it.
And how much better do you feel on a daily basis when you wake up?
Feel much better. I feel much better. I feel like it's a weird feeling. It's because you know clearly I still get tired when you work a lot, you know, and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah,
But it's
we
it's
have
not,
human limitations, right?
right. And it's not a physical thing. I think it's more of a spiritual
Yeah,
relaxation. You know,
right.
where you know I just think I've slowed down enough to focus on things that are important. You
Hmm.
know, and there's this old saying that my dad used to tell me a long time ago, and I find it true, especially now in the times that we live and how I want to live my life. And he used to tell me who your friends are, and I'll tell you who you are.
Right.
And so to me, that played a huge role because I had a choice to make. I hung out with either hooligans who got me in trouble, or hung out with smart people like yourself and others, and be somebody, you know. And I don't mean
Yeah.
like not being somebody by like education wise, but be somebody as far as the character of your person, you know. And you know, a lot of times you chose that other side because it was the easiest side, right? The little hooligan side was always the easiest side, and it always seemed like it was the fun side, right?
Right.
And as you get older, that fun side isn't fun anymore. You know, and we'll talk more about this in the series goes on, but you know, you look back now and you think, how did I survive? How did I not die? You know, and there's been a lot of situations, man, where you know I could have anybody who could have been like done, you know, and
Right.
so I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful that I was spared a lot of, and I spared my parents a lot of grief, and the people that I love and love me. But it's just a change that it's hard to explain. Um, and I think a lot of people need it. I think a lot of people, if you surround yourself with, it's like, again, you surround yourself with good people, you're going to feel good about yourself, you know, and things are going to start to happen. You know, things are going to start, you're going to start realizing that, why didn't I do this 15, 20, 30 years ago? You
Yeah.
know, what was I thinking? You know what I mean? You weren't. That's the problem. You know,
Right.
with a lot of, you weren't thinking. But I,
Right.
I think it's a great journey. Like I said, we just now are scratching the
Scratching the
surface
surface. Yep. Yep.
of this, and so far it's like it's been great, and like I say, man, I'm blessed. I know you're feeling blessed, and I'm just blessed to have the people that I have around me.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a great journey, guys, and I think that you guys should really follow along on this, because I think even if you're not a believer, I think we're gonna be talking about stuff that's gonna make you just want to even change your personality as far as being a better person, you
Right.
know. And those are just a few steps, just like when you're, what do they say about AA and NA? Admitting that you have a problem is the first step.
That's the very first step.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
I think this is the same, we're in the same boat as Christians, is admitting that you're wrong, that you lived wrong, and that you're a sinner is the first step. And I think once you've admitted that and you realize, like, man, you know what? Yeah, I'm not perfect. We're not supposed to be.
No.
We strive to be. That's what we want to be. That's the ultimate goal. But we come on, bro. We were born tainted already.
Well,
right?
that's the big misconception about the church, about Christianity in particular. And it's folks think, well, again, I'm not perfect, and wait a minute, I know this person that's a Christian and they're not perfect. I've seen them do stupid stuff or whatever. Yeah, I'm sure you have, because we're all dummies, in life. We're not perfect. And you're never going to be perfect. And like Joe said earlier, the apostles, they were not chosen for their holy light. And yeah, because again, I don't want to beat a dead horse with the whole AA thing, but the best people to get in front of an audience at AA and tell other people that are struggling, because you have to understand, I know somebody very well that he speaks at AA meetings. He's been sober for over 30 years now. And when he first started it, he sat in the very back of the room and thought, this is what he thought. These guys here don't have anything they can tell me because they don't know what I go through. They don't know the horrors that I went through. And then he listened to some of the testimonies they gave. And guess what? He was like, my life's not that bad. These guys went through some horrible nonsense. Right. And you need to hear that. You need to know that you're not alone, that there's other people that have experienced things similar to yours, never going to be exactly the same.
Or
we all
worse.
take things, or way worse.
No.
Right. And you that's the one thing that I would say Christianity is. It's a melting pot of people that are coming together, right? That have the same experience in sin, just in a bunch of different ways.
And that's a way, and that's why they have these set up, these AA groups, these NA groups, and I hate comparing it, but it's the truth. That's why, as Christians, we should surround ourselves with fellow Christians, because we're not perfect and we tend to derail ourselves sometimes and go back to old habits or back to doing something where we have surrounded ourselves with this security blanket, which is other followers say, hey, what are you doing? Get over here. That's not what we do now. And I think it's great. And I think that coming up, we're going to have some good stuff. We're going to talk about our personal lives and our personal experience and how that's made us change, and how it's keeping us changing, and ultimately the path that we want and where we're going, and hopefully you guys follow along, and let us know. Let us know if there's something that you want us to talk about, or if there's a question about anything about that we've talked about today or in the future episodes about Christianity. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know everything. I don't know a lot. But there's this book I reference. It's called the Bible, and it's a top seller. And that's where I get my information from. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't Google it, because AIs are out there, and those things will tell you some stuff that's just that's weird. So.
Yeah, it's funny. The Gutenberg printing press, when it was invented, the very first thing that was printed on that press was a Bible. So out of all the books in the world that they could have printed, somebody felt that was the most important one to do. So the fact that the importance level in society has come down so much really speaks a lot to why society is the way it is. But so yeah, guys, like Joe was saying, coming up, we're gonna kind of go down the path from our beginning to kind of where we are now, and it may not be a perfect deal. We're gonna kind of skip through this and give you as much info as you can. Like Joe said, we're not perfect, and we're kind of, even though we've been Christians per se our whole life, we're kind of at the beginning of our true journey that we've decided to embark on. And we want to start the beginning of this whole thing. This is more of an introduction for you guys for this and for us. And we're going to get some momentum going here with basically through the books of the Bible, like in the beginning and just as it goes all the way through Revelations. And our revelation has been that we need to change ourselves. We need to, and I'm not saying the drinking part, but referencing like AA, we need to stop drinking, right? And so we need to stop being those sinners, and we need to start being better people. So that's the analogy I would use there. But yeah, got anything?
Yeah, but we're still gonna be talking about other people on our Tuesday episode. So.
Oh yeah.
It's just what we do, man.
It's just what we do. Yeah. So just so everybody knows, this is not going to be every Tuesday. This is going to be every third, fourth Tuesday. Yeah, just depends when we can get these episodes done, because we've got stuff coming up. I think the next episode is our election recap, because that is we wanted to wait until they kind of settled down, and Arizona still can't figure out how to count all their ballots in a
and it clearly it's not settling down, because we've got a lot of reactions from the liberals that are not stopping, and as you can see, I'm joining the 4B movement as well. So,
well, on that note, everybody, thanks so much for joining us this week for our Walk with Jesus episode here in our new series. Join us next week. We'll have a trailer tomorrow or something about what's going on. And come back and see these episodes. I think it'll be a really great one for you all. If nothing else, I mean, we'd love for you to join our walks, but if nothing else, if it just inspires you to live a better life, we'd be happy if it helps one person out there. So, all right,
man. We'll see you guys.
Yeah, everybody, God bless. Have a wonderful evening, and
take care of each other.
Talk to you soon. See you next Tuesday.
We'll see you.